Hi everyone and welcome to a special service for the community. I'm your host Matt Blow. Today it's a special library episode, and today we have Julie Meredith, Director of the Clarkston Independence District Library. How are you doing today, Julie?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. So we kind of want to dispel some myths about the library or kind of explain the process of the library.
Okay.
The first thing we were kind of talking about before the show is this idea that library is just kind of this building full of books that I think a lot of people kind of have in their mind. Kind of explain how that's not really an accurate definition of what a library is.
So I think it's really important for people to understand that we are more than just a building full of books. Books will always be part of our brand.
Of course.
But of course, one of the things that we've done is moved out into the world of digital books. So your library card is good online. You can use it for ebooks, audiobooks, streaming movies and music, magazines, that sort of thing. Some of the other things that we have that people don't realize that we have that are sort of interesting, we do circulate Wi-Fi hotspots.
We were talking about that before the show. I thought that was kind of interesting because I think people do think you have some of the Kindles and some tablet-like devices, but the idea that, they could also check that out and then use their own personal devices.
Absolutely.
On that is also kind of
and they're a great thing, for example, if your internet were to go down, you could come in and you could check one out. You could use it at home. You can use it in the car. You can use it up at the cabin up north while you're traveling, that sort of thing. If you've got a car full of kids and you're worried about getting to your destination and not having enough internet access in order to keep everybody happy.
I didn't think about the long car ride.
Those are all things that you can use it for, and they are free to check out.
So yeah, that's the car ride, that's the cabin up north. I assume it uses like cell phone technology and things
it does.
like that. So it probably works most places.
Absolutely, you just go to our circulation desk and they can hook you up with one.
Awesome, awesome. And so you were also you also have a thing called maker kits, I believe you were saying. Tell us a little bit about what a maker kit is.
Maker kits are really fun. It's actually a box full of technology that you can sort of try out and play with at home. So we have the 3D doodler pens. So it's almost like a little handheld digital printer where you can kind of create these little 3D things.
I've seen videos of those.
Yep, we have those. You can check them out and take them home and try them out. We also have kits that are Ozobots. Ozobots are kind of a cute little robot sort of thing that you can sort of program yourself to do things.
Okay.
And all the instructions are in there so you can try it out and do it yourself. And then, of course, Raspberry Pi, which is really popular with people who are learning more about technology and programming.
I was going to say, I've heard that term before, but I really don't know what it does.
It's really for things like helping you to create circuits, helping you to program and coding and things like that. Okay. So it comes with all of these little pieces and parts and directions for you to do these kinds of things, from anything from creating your own very simplistic little handheld computer to creating circuits to do specific sorts of things. So very cool stuff.
Could you talk a little bit more about the downloads and things that people can download from that the library kind of, I don't know what the term is, but kind of collects and whatnot?
Absolutely. So we have a couple of different services that allow you to do that. We have Overdrive. Overdrive is a great service that works very much like the library in that it's a whole collection of materials. It's ebooks, it's audiobooks. And you go in and you find the one that you want, you can check it out, you can place a hold on it, you can download it to your device, and when you're done with it, it just disappears off your device. We also have Hoopla. Hoopla is great because Hoopla is actually 435,000 items, and it includes books and audiobooks and movies and music, and that's an instant gratification. You want it, you download it. You only get 5 checkouts a month, but you can. It's instant. It's as many people as need to use it. You need to use.
And that's like current movies and things too. It's not just a certain time frame.
Yep, there's bestsellers. There's some current movies. Some of the ones are older. Lots of great stuff for kids. That kind of thing. And then we've added some other new services. We have Canopy. Canopy's a really cool service. That one is a lot of independent films and also a lot of interesting documentaries and classic movies and that kind of thing, and that's really fun. That's another one of those instant gratification ones. You see it, you want it, you check it out, you stream it. So.
Now I'll ask you this question. Now, I work in Clarkston, Independence Township, but I live in Waterford. So if I wanted to check out a Wi-Fi hotspot or do some download stuff, is there any extra steps I need to do because I am not technically a resident?
We do. We honor everyone who works in the city of Clarkston and Independence Township. So all you do is come in and you let us know that you work here. You bring in, paycheck stub or something, your business card, something that shows that you work here, and we give you a card just like we would for a resident. Because basically what we do is we see your employer as our resident, and you are one of the dependents of that resident.
Gotcha.
So you would be able to access all of the same resources as our residents.
Gotcha. If I didn't work for the township and was just a to Waterford, would I have to kind of seek out the Waterford Library, or is there some kind of cross collaboration there as well?
So we do reciprocal borrowing with other libraries. So what you would do is you would get a card from your home library, and then you would bring it into our library, and we would offer you services as well. So in the same way that our users can go to Waterford, Troy, Bloomfield, all the other libraries in the area.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But we track you by having you get your card at your home library first, just so that we
Gotcha.
know.
That makes sense.
It helps us for statistical purposes on
Sure.
a state level. Yeah,
Sure.
just to see where usage is.
Now, the other big thing you wanted to talk about today, which I think was an interesting topic we were talking a little bit about before the show, was the idea that the library is this kind of informational resource. And one specific thing I
Absolutely.
wanted to kind of have you explain to our viewers is, I think a lot of people are used to, wanting to find information on a subject, and they'll type it into Google and they'll get their sources, and those sources are not always the best. They're not always from the best sources, or not always the most the best info they're looking for. So can you touch upon like how the library kind of goes through that process and kind of checks on sources and kind of does that fact-checking element?
Absolutely. So one of the things that people don't realize is that librarians are actually professional researchers. We have master's degrees in library science, and people don't really know what that is, but essentially we're professional researchers. So it is our job when you come into the library to help you find the accurate information that answers your question. And author Neil Gaiman, has been quoted as saying, Google will give you 10,000 answers and the librarian will give you the right one. And that's sort of our job. So you come in and you ask us your question, and we do what we call a reference interview, and we sort of walk through the process of what exactly you're looking for and help you narrow your topic so that when we find your resource, we're answering your actual question.
Sure.
So for example, if you were to come in and ask about dogs, there's lots and lots of things that you could find out about dogs. Do you want a story about dogs for your child? Do you want to know about dog breeds? Do you need to know how to house train a puppy? Those are all very, very different topics. So we would sort of walk you through that process of how do we narrow it and get to the answer to your question, and the whole idea is that we're saving you time.
Sure. We touched briefly on like if someone was looking for like a political answer, kind of like a scientific answer to kind of they were looking for. You were kind of talking about how like, well, you want to, as best of your abilities, give them the answer they're looking for, but also kind of making sure they know those other avenues are available as well. So it's not just the specific question, but also kind of a broader scope than just that question as well.
Yes. So a librarian's responsibility, part of our training, involves making sure that we remain neutral when you ask a question. So it's our job to listen to what it is you're looking for. And for example, let's use vaccinations as an example. So if you come in and ask us about vaccinating your child, it's not our job to judge and to help you find a specific answer in terms of what we think you need.
Right.
It's what you need. So what we would do if you ask us about vaccinating your child is we would find out more about what it is you're interested in knowing, and we would give you both sides. Now, for example, if you're a mom who already knows why you should vaccinate your child, but you're wondering what other people are asking about from the other side, and you specifically asked us why you shouldn't vaccinate your child, then we would help you find the answer to that question.
Sure.
Because that's a legitimate answer as well. It's not our job to judge what the information is that you're looking for, but to help you find what is answering what it is that you need.
Sure.
Library is all about lifelong learning, so it's not our job to hook you up with just what we think you need, or what is politically correct, specifically, or what is trending, but in what it is that you needed to know.
I think one thing we talked about, and I don't remember where I heard this, but sometimes when you're searching things online, the information you're given is based on previous searches. So if you constantly go to website B for something, and then you'll search for it, website B is your top source, it's not always because source B is the best at that information. It's because, well, based on your previous history, we think you're going to click source B. And so the library kind of removes that kind of, I guess it's a kind of like a feedback loop to a certain extent.
It
is. Kind of says, well, hey, you're looking for this, here's our scholarly sources on this. For this specific question, we found these sources. So in some ways, you can kind of get more scholarly and more specific to your question by maybe going to a professional researcher rather than just the Google.
So search engines are really intended to use an algorithm to sort of predict what it is that you're looking for. They're using science to try and say, well, this is what you've looked for in the past, this is probably what you're looking for.
9 times out of 10 you click source B, so you know what, we're going to give you source B.
But our job when you come in and ask a question is to find out what you're looking for today, not what you looked for yesterday. But maybe you've had a chance to think about a particular topic and now you're interested in another aspect of it, or maybe another viewpoint on
Sure.
it. And so we are trained to sort of ask you what that is about. What are you looking for today? We sort of meet you where you are and answer the question that you're looking for at that particular time.
Awesome. Is there anything else you kind of want to mention or touch upon as we're kind of wrapping up maybe today?
I think one of the things that I would like to talk about is the importance of the library in terms of the humanity of answering questions. And one of the stories that I like to tell that really to me hit home as a professional as to why I do what I do. I was working at the information desk several years ago, and a woman came in, and her eyes were red. She obviously had been crying, and she had a 2-year-old with her. And she walked up to the desk, and she said to me, "My father just passed away, and I have to figure out how to explain it to my 2-year-old." And in that moment, I was looking at her, I could feel for her, and I said, "Well, come with me." And we went over into the children's department, and we got some books and some puppets for her daughter to play with. We kind of set her in a little corner. We kept her nearby so we could keep an eye on her. But then I helped the mom go through a number of picture books that were developmentally appropriate for her child. And we talked about how she wanted to present this to her child. Did she want to present it religiously? Did she want to present it, a little more abstractly? What rang true to her? That's one of those moments when Google wasn't going to answer that question.
Right.
And I think that what's so important for people to understand is those are the kinds of interactions that happen in the library every single day.
It's that kind of that one-on-one part that you don't get when you're just searching something online.
Exactly. And we don't necessarily talk about it because it happens to us so frequently, we don't even think about it. But those are the kinds of things that make that other option so important, that help people with things that are more than just, what's this phone number or that kind of a question.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming by today and
I
kind
really
of
appreciate it.
explaining kind of the library's process
Yeah.
and how, they're not just a building full of books.
Yep.
And all that other great stuff you guys are doing.
Thank you so much.
So that's all the time we have on this episode of Service for the Community. We'll see you guys next time.